Hello, am I audible now? I guess now I might be audible. Ankita, Ankita, am I audible now? Uh, Hello. Yeah. Am I audible now? I guess now I might be audible. Ankita. I think my audio is working just fine. Uh, Let us all get started with the webinar. And good evening, everyone. Let me introduce myself. Before that, let's share my screen. That's something to do. So I believe everyone is able to look at my screen. Can someone just unmute and let me know if they are able to view the screen or not? It would be great. Anyone from the audience, you can just unmute and let me know whether my screen is being visible or and also if my audio is being heard. So
Yes, sir. All good to go.
okay, sure. So let's start. Good evening, everyone. I am Varun Prasad Gokhale, and uh, I have joined Purdue University this fall for the program of Masters in Engineering Technology with my area of interest to be nanotechnology. So, uh, this is a small, brief introduction of uh, my current education here at Purdue. Let's move ahead, and I want to make this seminar or what do I call it, webinar, a more interactive one rather than trying to make it a boring one. So I would like all of you guys to just switch on your videos for a couple of moments, probably because in the upcoming slides we will be having discussions rather than me basically telling you about what to do and what not to do. So it is basically a general discussion in the front, in the first part of the webinar. The second part goes into discussing your aspects of getting into a master's in foreign anywhere, and then the third part discusses about third part is basically your requirements, do's and don'ts, and the selection process of almost every university all across the globe. And then at the last part, we'll be moving to a Q&A. So the Q&A will be a live Q&A, as well as uh, I have received a few questions through Zoom, through Google Forms. So I would be answering those questions too. So let us get started. And okay, so this is the first page. I think I should introduce myself a bit more in a brief way rather than just telling that I'm a student at Purdue. So basically, uh, I'm Varun Prasad Gokhale, and I have graduated from Vivekananda Education Society's Institute of Technology, which is VESIT, from Mumbai. And I don't know if a lot of people know VESIT, but there are a lot of participants who have joined from VESIT. So hopefully, VESIT is being widespread now, that a VESIT alumni is now a part of Purdue. So, so I've graduated from VESIT in electronics engineering, and my interest has always been in nanotechnology, robotics, and I've also been part of various events. Like I've hosted a few events at college. I have conducted IoT workshops, robotics fest, and a lot of stuff there in college. So I was not a social person back there in India, but once you develop that knack of being social and trying to involve yourself in a lot of things, you basically schedule yourself very finely, and you can do your tasks better in time. So moving on ahead, we'll be discussing three stages today. So your first stage on why you want to do your master's or your PhD. That is your first stage. That would discuss about your motivation. So here your motivation means what is your inner belief or your inner calling on why you want to pursue that master's degree. So that motivation can be anything, but it should not be something that should be like uh, taken from someone else. Like if my friend, if a friend of mine is studying in a foreign university, then I should also be studying in a foreign university. So basically that doesn't make sense at all. So your motivation should be your own thinking of why you want to pursue masters or a PhD. That is your first goal. Your second goal would be your area of work. So your area of work or your nature of work. So if you are doing your master's or your PhD or you have done your bachelor's, then you have three scenarios in front of you. One is your research, second is your job, and third is your startup. In India, majority of the students prefer to land a job or get through a job after their bachelor's in any degree, though it be engineering or it be management or anything of that sorts. But that is what generally students in India prefer. And the second part comes to research or a job with research. So job with research basically means that people are ready to work for their masters and then land up a higher pay scale in a bigger company. So your initial starting pay for a bachelor's degree in India starts around like 3 LPA, which is sub minimum, I guess. Now that should be somewhere around 6 LPA on an average, but it is still at 3 LPA. So companies like Accenture usually offer entry roles or trainee roles at 3 LPA, and they then build on your salary as you progress in your career. So then the second is research. So what do you here mean by research is that you do a master's degree. So you specialize in a particular avenue and then you go on to do a job, or you continue your research, go into the field of research completely, trying to becoming a scientist or so, doing your PhD, then your postdoc, followed by working in a research company. So that is one way of doing things. The other way is you do your master's, research or non-research, and land a job in a very good company with a high paying package. And the third one is currently booming, but still a bit of inhibitions lie in this field, that is the startup industry. So there are a lot of startups that started and boomed because of the Startup India movement, and there have been a constant growth in the startup establishments in India. So I think startup can be one of your option if you're looking into, if you're more interested into doing your own business, or you're more into providing jobs, then startup is should be your goal further. And the third part in stage one is area of interest. So your area of interest is very much important, because your area of interest deals with uh, what you want to specifically do for your masters. So here currently, since we are talking about masters or a PhD, your area of interest matters the most. Just because you have graduated from electronics or you have graduated from computer science, and one of your friend has just joined a university and doing something in big data, cloud computing, and machine learning, artificial intelligence, does not mean that your area of interest has to be the same as his. Your area of interest can be different, and you can pursue masters in almost any field that you want. It is not mandatory that you need to pursue your masters in the same field of as that of your bachelor's. So so try thinking, because there are a lot of people who jump from doing a bachelor's in engineering and move to an MBA, or some people do a bachelor's in engineering and then move to do a master's in a specific domain that is more specific, to be more specific, like doing a master's in physics, or doing a master's in culinary arts, or doing masters in liberal arts design. So it everything depends, all of these depend on your core area of interest. So first thing is you need to find out your area of interest. So how do you find your area of interest? Basically, your area of interest is basically the things you like to do continuously. I'm not saying about your hobbies, but the things you like to do continuously, and you're willing to sit and do it repetitively for a long amount of time. Probably that should be considered as your primary area of research. Like if you are doing electronics and you are very strong with, for example, robotics, and you know how to build robots and you like working with circuits, so your primary focus should be specific to robotics, or analog electronics or digital electronics, like designing specifically, be more specific in that context. So as I said, area of interest plays a major role. So when I applied to Purdue, my area of interest was from the beginning nanotechnology, uh, and I had a few backups as my area of interest, because I was working uh, to design robots back there in my college. So I had an interest for robotics as well. So my primary area of interest was nanotechnology. My secondary area of interest was robotics. And my third area of interest was VLSI. So that is how you structure yourself, uh, and you build your area of interest. Now, this area of interest is usually asked in your it is usually asked in your application, because you are ought to specify in which specific area you want to pursue your masters in. So in broad sense, if you're doing if you're wanting to do your masters in electrical and computer engineering, you are supposed to specify your area of interest. So there will be a drop down box, that the university offers certain specializations inside that. So you need to select one among them as your primary area of interest and followed by the rest. So area of interest plays a major role. Now, if anyone in the audience who is interested and like wants to share their share about their first three, it would be really great. Uh, Maybe you can share about your motivation, then what you want to do, what is your bigger picture in life. Is it the 5-year goal or is it the 10-year goal? So it all depends on you how you want to structure things in your life, and then your area of interest. So let me see who all are there in the participants. So we have Suyog Sawant. Let me ask him to unmute. Probably he can give you a small.
Yeah, actually, I'm traveling. Yeah,
Yeah. So
I will talk later. Yeah.
okay. So Suyog is basically my batchmate, and he's currently doing his masters from Germany, and it is a very good place. He had been offered admission into various colleges in the US, in the Germany, and he chose finally to be in Germany. So Suyog will be sharing his part of the first three: motivation, then your research, startup, or job and area of interest. So moving ahead, let's move to the stage two. So the stage two is basically we'll have a brief discussion of how it is to do a master's in India, Europe, rest of the world, and US. So let me give you a bigger picture of masters in India. So masters in India is pretty competitive. It is almost of the same level as that of pursuing your bachelor's in India, the way you have JEE or you have other examinations for various other fields. uh, you have JEE, NEET, so AIPMT and all that. So masters is a similar competitive field as your bachelor's. So if you're very much sure, I am saying you should have that in your mind when you're applying for masters in India, that if you are very much confident on your attempt that you would be able to clear the gate exam in your first attempt, and it would land you in a very good college for masters, then I would suggest that you please do that. And then have coming to the foreign as your backup option, because the acceptance rate in foreign is pretty much more than the acceptance rate in India. We know that there are a lot of drawbacks in the Indian education system, but hopefully in future they might get rectified. But still, if your first plan is India, then I think you should stick to it. And if you are only and only if you are very much confident and very much sure that you would be clearing any entrance exam that you require to get into the premier institutes, it would be great. If you want to do your masters from any random institute, not a random institute, but an institute which is not much of which doesn't have a lot of brand value, maybe your post masters or your post PhD might be a bit more cumbersome, because it would be difficult for you to land a good job from the college that you graduate. So that is what I suggest, that you if you are very headstrong that you want to get into IITs, or you want to get into BITS Pilani, or if you want to get into for example IIMs, so then, and you're very much sure, then you surely should do your masters in India. The reason why I would suggest that uh, you do your masters in Europe, so the major advantage of doing your masters in Europe is if you are inclined towards doing research, like hardcore research, and you don't want to digress from that field, then surely Europe is to be your go-to destination, because Europe has a lot of research work going on. They are kind of pioneers in research because of the facilities that they provide you. And uh, post your masters or post your PhD, you land into pretty much of almost there are tons of research labs and research facilities that provide jobs to you as scientist roles. So basically, you get into Europe if you want. If you are very much concerned about doing your research and you want to only specifically excel and become a scientist in future. Uh, the drawback in India is the technology again, because we are still lacking a lot of technological enhancements and improvements that are supposed to be there, but we don't have them. India is trying to set up its semiconductor industry in the upcoming 5 years. So hopefully that will lead to a change in technology, because we are still back by around 10 to 20 years. So because when US was around in 2000s, they had these high class microcontrollers and microprocessors working. You had established Intel, IBM. So you basically had a very enhanced technology back then, 2 decades ago, in the US, Europe. But in India, it has just come now because you have CDAC and Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, which are working on developing microprocessors in India. So what I suggest is, if you want that technological enhancement, or uh, you want to experience or play with the latest technology, you want to have a lot of connections, you want to end up having a job in one of the top companies in the world, Apple, Amazon, Tesla, NASA. So if you want to land up in a high paying job, I would suggest doing a master's in India would be a less effective one than doing a master's in US or Europe or anywhere rest of the world. Coming to Europe, Europe is a bit expensive. As you all know, the value of a pound is around, like the value of uh, 1 pound is around 100 rupees. So it is pretty expensive to stay back there in the Europe. So if you are financially stable, or if you are really wanting to pursue your master's or PhD from Europe, I would suggest, uh, please be in Europe. Third is master's or PhD in the rest of the world. Now, this is a broad category, but I would like to narrow it down to a few countries. Specifically, my first choice would go anywhere to Russia. My second choice would go to Japan. My third choice would go to China. So these are my top three in the uh, current scenario, because all are pioneering in technology in some or the other way. So I would suggest that if you are wanting to do something great in technology field, or you want to play with the latest technology, uh, Russia, Japan, or China are the best places that you can be in. You know that there are restrictions. There are a lot of sanctions from all across the world on all these countries, but their quality of education is as high as doing your masters in Europe or USA. So that is the only reason why I would suggest that you do a master's in any of these three shortlisted countries. Again, Australia is also one option. New Zealand is also one option. Ireland is an option, but all these are pretty expensive, whereas Russia is equal to the Indian rupee. So it is, uh, as well as doing a master's in India, you could be doing a master's in Russia and be working with the latest technology. So that is one advantage that you get here. And coming to the last part is masters in USA. So what is the advantage of doing a masters in US? First, uh, you have almost every premier institute. The world's top 50 top institutes are in the US. So that is the first main advantage that you get when you are doing a master's in the US. So you have a lot of universities that basically are uh, in the top of the world, or provide world class education. That is the US. Second advantage that you get when you are in the US, you're doing a master's in the US, though it is expensive, it is okay because you are getting to learn and basically experiment with the latest technology, and you are given the freedom to basically work on your theories, your projects, rather than working on a specific project. uh, like back in India, when you are given your when you are asked to give your B projects, so you are asked to do it in groups, and four of you make a consensus and try to just take an idea from somewhere, or have your own idea and then make a project out of it and submit it. So it just doesn't make sense because you're doing it for the sake of doing it. But when you're coming to masters, you have the choice, you have the freedom to do things on your own. uh, and so I would suggest that masters in the US is more valued. Here also, in the US, you have uh, the Fortune 500 companies, you have the world class companies out here. The top companies that mint a lot of money are also from the US. So if you're doing a master's from anywhere in the US, you would surely land into a very good company, post your master's or a PhD, depending on the field that you work in, with a high paying salary. And the amount of networking that you can do in the US is nowhere unmatched, because in India the education system is quite monotonous, because you go to college, you study, you come back, you do assignments, and then just sit out. There are a lot of people who don't even attend events back there in India, like seminars, webinars. You have career fairs, but we lack that supply of information there in India. So here in the US, on every other week, you have a career fair where companies come and pitch to you basically what jobs they are offering to you, and what all are their what type of a candidate they are looking for, and then you can eventually apply to those companies. And they are pretty high paying, so you can surely land masters in the US and get a job in almost the premium uh, companies like Google, Apple, anything you want. Like, you dream of it and you have it. So it is that is what US offers you. Coming to the stage three. So before starting to the stage three, I would like to quickly summarize how I had applied to foreign universities, and what were my initial preferences. So I had been to Russia during the third year of my engineering to present a paper in an international conference along with a team, which I had worked during COVID for a startup. So we had written a research paper, more of a research paper. So we were presenting that at a conference in Russia, and eventually I fell in love with the country because the country is beautiful. It has people working on latest technology, probably some technology that even the world still hasn't envisioned yet. So I was pretty much fascinated by the level of education that was provided in Russia. So there is this one thing called as Open Door Scholarship. So it is a private public partnership, or a private public scholarship that the government of Russia offers with a few private entities to help you study in Russia. So the perks of this scholarship are basically that you apply to the scholarship, and if you clear the two stages of the scholarship, you can basically get a free fully funded education in Russia with a stipend every month, and they cover everything from your living to staying, your tuition fees, everything is reimbursed. So if you are really interested to pursue your masters in Russia, I would surely like you all to check out Open Doors, because Open Doors is a great platform where you can basically land yourself a fully funded education in Russia. And then I had applied through Open Doors. I had won the scholarship, and I was even offered the course of my choice in my choice of university in Russia. So I was very excited to move to Russia, but then uh, as you all know, the Russia and Ukraine war broke out. So there was some unrest. So also trust your family. So there is also a family angle that comes in, that uh, you have to consider when you are moving to a country. So that is why I ditched my plan to go to Russia. And my second option was KTH in Sweden. So the KTH Royal Institute of Technology was my second choice. I was very, very, very much clear on what and where I had to apply for my master's. And I did not specifically want to go to the US for my master's because I knew it was expensive, whereas I knew that Sweden was basically a sustainable country, and it promoted sustainable development. It was almost cheap, as equivalent as probably India, maybe 8 times more expensive than India, but it was okay anyways. And then I had applied for KTH and I had got through KTH too. So I had my uh, offer from KTH for pursuing my masters. But then this is something that my dad suggested me, is that you apply for a university in the US just for a backup. In case you don't get into any of the first two choices, you might get into a US university. So at that moment, it was around March of this year, and almost every university had closed their applications, and only application that was open was from Purdue. And that is why I applied to Purdue, and I found some courses that match my interest. So I eventually applied and I got through in a month. I got their offers for almost all the courses. So then I was in this dilemma whether I have to go to India, Europe, like KTH Sweden, or Purdue University. So after consulting almost every possible person from Europe and USA, whom I knew, it was finally decided that I would move to Purdue and pursue my master's in Purdue. So that is the long story short. So that is how I got into Purdue. And I think you should be more specific when you are dealing with doing your master's from anywhere in anywhere in the world. You should be very specific with the area of interest that you want to work in, your motivation, and you should be able to select your universities wisely. Second, coming to stage three, so we'll now be discussing on the requirements, uh, that is your preparation. So your preparation that you need to put through to check out each university's requirements, what all is required, what are the standards, and how do you apply. So moving on, I have just summarized a few of them here. And so basically, I have given a broad spectrum of score that you can have to land a seat in any university. I am not saying that you can get with the sub-minimal scores. Like if you consider the minimum values from all these, uh, if you land these minimum values, you would get into a university eventually. But if you are eyeing for premier institutes like the Ivy League colleges, or you're looking into getting into Purdue, or uh, University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, which is again a very famous university, uh, or even it be University of Colorado, Boulder. So you want to get into any university, these are the sub minimums, but try making it the maximum so that you land into a premier institute. So your GRE score should be around 280 to 340. Now, for the time when I applied, there was a GRE waiver. So you don't, your GRE was made completely optional. So there are few universities, like I would say 50% of the universities, that still offer that GRE is optional. But I would suggest that you check their course pages, or master's pages beforehand, to know the requirement if they need a GRE or not. So once you have figured that out, check out their IELTS and TOEFL requirements. So 90 overall in TOEFL would be good, but that would anyway give you a suboptimal university. And in IELTS, you should be around band 7. So band 7 is a good band to be in. That can basically land you even into Purdue. Band 7, I have a band 7.5, and I wrote my IELTS without literally any preparation. So once you register for IELTS, you get a booklet from their end, and it just is like your stand class 6 or class 7 English book that has reading, writing, and all that stuff going on. Uh, so IELTS is not a tough exam to ace, but you can surely ace IELTS easily. So I would suggest that you prefer IELTS over TOEFL. Also, check for a requirement uh, that can waive off your IELTS or TOEFL. The requirement is that you have your bachelor's education done in English language. That actually comes on your transcript. So when you apply for your transcript at your university or your college, uh, please make sure that in the front page of your transcript, you have that the medium of instruction is English. So eventually this IELTS and TOEFL gets cancelled out. You don't have to give these two exams, as these exams are also pretty expensive. Their fees are pretty expensive. An IELTS or a TOEFL on an average cost around 14,000 Indian rupees. So it is expensive. But if the university that you are specifically wanting to do your master's in or PhD in, I would suggest you check for this requirement also, that there is this one loophole that if you have done your bachelor's in with a medium of instruction in English, you don't need to give an IELTS or a TOEFL. Your transcript will be the best document that will cover everything for you. Then your GPA, your grade point average is also an important parameter here when you're doing your master's or your PhD. So for masters, I would suggest that you keep your grade point average above 6.5 or equal to 6.5. This is the sub minimum. I would suggest if it is in the range of 7.5 to 8.5 would be great, and anywhere above 9 is even more great. Like, surely your university looks into these factors while they are selecting you. Your GMAT scores around 650 to 720 is good, good enough to land you a seat in one of the top business schools in the foreign. So my GPA was around 9.4. So um, I was eventually covered up this barrier. I covered up the barrier of 6.5. There are a lot of people who have their GPAs to be around 7-ish, 6.5, and they still get into good universities. Not only because of these academic requirements, there are some non-academic requirements that also you should be managing, so that uh, you don't miss out on a few things. So apart from these exam scores, your academic requirements would be your letter of recommendation. So I would suggest that you have 3 letters of recommendation. So your 3 letters of recommendation include one letter of recommendation from your project guide or mentor. So if you're doing your final year BE project, a bachelor's project, one letter of recommendation from your guide or mentor, one academic letter of representation from any of your faculty in your department. It can be the HOD, deputy HOD, or any senior associate professor or assistant professor. And the third letter of recommendation should or can be from the industry. So if you have worked in a company after your bachelor's and you're wanting to do a master's, do surely get a letter of recommendation from the company you're working with. Or if you have done an internship for say 3 months or more than a month or so in a company, I would say that you get a recommendation letter from the HR. You can request the HR post the internship to hand you over a letter of recommendation if required. So letter of recommendation has a specific format. So there are a few professors who write it on their own, uh, who write their letter of recommendation for every student individually, separately, on their own. but there are a few professors who also ask you to draft a letter of recommendation. Post that, they review it, and then you are good to submit it. Second important requirement is your statement of purpose. So your statement of purpose is now dependent on the first three factors that I mentioned. One, your motivation. Second is your is the job that you want to do, research, industry, or startup. So research, job, or startup. So that is your second part. And third part is basically your area of interest. And statement of purpose basically discusses all these three factors. So your area of motivation, or your motivation basically here when you write your statement of purpose is basically you structure it in such a way where you initially put out what you're doing currently and why you are interested in working, and what is your area of interest. The second paragraph, or the second and third paragraph, which is the main body paragraph, talks about your achievements specifically, where you talk about what you have done in order to nurture your interest, area of interest. Like if you are interested into robotics, what all have you done? What all competitions have you participated in? What all are your skill sets specifically while working on projects? What are the small projects that you have done? What are the major competitions that you have participated in? So it is basically a sum up of, or a summary of your entire bachelor's life in that two paragraphs. And then followed by that, you would strongly give a reason why you want the university to select you. So in my case, the strong reason that I had put up in my statement of purpose was basically leaving a high paying job in India, offered at campus, to do my master's. So that is one reason that I gave, along with a lot of other things in my statement of purpose. So be very specific in your statement of purpose. Try to keep it to maximum of 2 pages. It should not exceed 2 pages. Generally, there is a word limit that is given for every statement of purpose. With every university, it varies. Third thing is your resume. Your resume is very, 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 very crucial and very important, because it gives the college or the university a better picture of you in just a page, or just in a page or two. So your resume also should not exceed 2 pages. It should be max of 1.5 to 2 pages. It cannot exceed that. If it exceeds, please try shortening it. Do not vividly describe everything in your resume. It is not required. Your resume is basically a small document that would give the university an entire perspective of the person you are, and how you are suitable for doing your master's in that particular university. Fourth is the essay. So every university has a different way of dealing with things. So some universities ask you to write a diversity essay. Some ask you to write essay on a specific topic. That might be why you want to pursue a master's here specifically. Apart from your statement of purpose, you have one essay that you need to upload. For Purdue, it was diversity essay. How do you diversify yourself, and how would you be an asset to the universities? Generally, some questions like these are generally put up there. And then you basically have your transcript, which is your fifth most important academic requirement, because your mark sheets aren't asked about here in the foreign. Your transcript matters. So if you've done your bachelor's, kindly get your transcript before you apply, because you need to have a scanned copy ready that you need to upload on the application page. And the last part is your LinkedIn profile. So uh, I don't know how many of you have good LinkedIn profiles, but I suppose that you should also focus equally on your LinkedIn profile apart from your resume, because there are a lot of universities that also skim through your LinkedIn profile just to check how active you are, how social you are, uh, how are your connections. So there is a lot of background check that goes into your application, but I would suggest that you have a very strong LinkedIn profile built, not a strong, but at least a very basic, rough LinkedIn profile also works, but the only thing you should keep in mind is that have a good LinkedIn profile. You have a good photo of yourself that only shows your upper face, and not a side view or a tilted view or something like that. Try to have a full photo or just a passport size photo for your LinkedIn profile, in a proper what to say, in a proper formal attire that would help you build your profile, and also it would give a good impression on the recruiters. So non-academic requirements, you have extracurricular activities, sports, volunteering, hobbies, and the most important of all these is your communication skills. So if you are a very shy person back then, there in India, or anywhere in the world, I would suggest that you slowly start opening up, at least try communicating with people. Even if you're not okay with making new friends or meeting new people, try starting a communication, because here in the US you cannot nod your head and expect that things would be done your way. So you need to communicate beforehand anything. So you should have good communication skills. Uh, you can, if you are into volunteering, like for NGOs or for any other things like the National Cadet Corps or NSS or RSS. So if you have done any of these volunteering activities, they also play a major role in your selection in any university. Your extracurricular activities anyway, like if you are a dancer, singer, actor, maybe a artist, so everything of these sorts can help you land at a very premier institute here in the foreign. Your sports also play a vital role, your hobbies. Apart from that, now let's move on to the do's and don'ts that you should actually consider when you are applying, or when you are you have done applying and you have to now start working on doing things. So the first don't that I would suggest is try avoiding study abroad agents. This is only given for you to save money, because seeing the current trend of internet, everyone has a smartphone, everyone has a laptop. So you can do your own research on which university you want to go in. You can classify, once you are ready with your area of interest, search for the university offering you these courses, then narrow it down according to your choice. Go through every university page for that particular master's program, read through briefly or read through their entire program outcomes and their what all they teach in that program, and then narrow down your universities. So if you have around 50 universities that you have selected to do your master's in, try to narrow it down to 5 at least, because you don't want to apply everywhere possible. So if you are applying to every 100 universities possible, then you have to pay that much amount of application fees, so which is again a cumbersome process. So try narrowing down your area of interest and your universities down to 5 to 10, not more than that. I would not suggest you applying to more than 10 universities abroad, because then it would be very difficult for you while you are making your decision at the last moment to select between the 10 universities if you have received admit from all the 10. So it is going to be a very tough decision later for you. So I would suggest that you narrow down your choices to 5 to 10, not more than that. I would suggest even 1 or 2 would be good, but giving you a broader scope, I think you should consider 5 to 10, not more than that. Prioritize your area of interest. As I said, you have to prioritize it. Don't fake on your resume. If you have done something, then only put it on your resume. Otherwise, do not put anything on your resume. I would suggest that faking on your resume can leave a bad impression. If uh, after joining, someone finds out that you're faked in your resume, you might lose your seat or you might lose your job, whatever it is. So don't fake your resume. Another thing is check your programs requirements. So every university has a program site for their specific programs. So please check your program requirements. What are its requirements with respect to your academics, non-academics, prerequisites, the fees, the financial aid that they are offering. You check everything possible. Every university offers scholarships beforehand. So if you are aiming to join any university in the fall, that is from August, if you're trying to join any university in the August or fall, you should be applying 6 months early if you wish to have a scholarship offered by the university. So Purdue University as well as other universities in the US close their applications by around December 31st. That is the last date till when they have their applications open for fall. So during this period, they generally open it from September or October to December. So you have a 2 to 3 month of a window that is open for you to apply. And at this point, they offer you scholarship opportunities. So grab those. If you don't land a scholarship opportunity, or if you are late in applying, you can apply post this period, but then you won't be getting your scholarships. So you have to apply for external scholarships. So again, do your research. Go on Google. Google gives you the best scholarships that you can apply for doing your masters. And if you don't get a scholarship and you still want to study for free in any country, apart, like you want to study a tuition waived off masters in any country, you should be applying, you should be emailing probable professors, or professors that match your area of interest, as I've given in my do's. Approach the professors with common interest via email, post your application, so that you could finalize a deal for an RA or a TA, because there are a lot of professors who have funding and who are looking for students to join their research groups. So if you are into research, I would specifically suggest that you approach professors with common interest early on, so that while you join the university, you basically have a research assistantship or a teaching assistantship in hand, that would waive off your tuition fees and cover a lot of your uh, monthly bills. So that is one thing. Then the don'ts, one of the other don'ts is don't apply just for the sake of applying. So as I said, don't apply that, have a goal in mind for why you are applying. Do not rush up things. If you rush up things, then you are ought to land in trouble, because it would land you in trouble, if not during the application time, during the visa time. Because in visa, there is interview, there is a specific question that is usually asked is, what are your plans after doing your masters in that particular foreign country? So if it is a country like USA and you just say that I would like to do a job and settle down in the US, then in 70% of the cases you are getting your visa rejected. So you should be very much sure that I am here only for my education, and post my education I'll be moving back to India. Though people know that post education you land a job in the US and you get your visa converted from a F1 or a J1 to maybe a H1B, but be specific and be sure of what you're talking in your visa interview. Don't mess things up there. And don't provide wrong information of financials during visa application or interview. So if you provide wrong financials, they might cancel your visa due to lack of funds or something like that, because they do a complete thorough background check of your financial profile, and then they stamp your visa. So I say that you don't do that. Also, don't apply to universities and visa at the last moment, because wait times for US visa is now around 1 year. So to get a visa to the US is going to be very cumbersome in the current scenario. And once you get your visa, everything is through. You don't have to worry about anything. But the initial part where you have to get your visa, it is difficult because there is a lot of wait time. And once you accept your offer from any university that you like now, the first thing that you do is find a housing, because here in the US, as well as I guess in the Europe, the system is that you apply for housing beforehand, because they put up the leases for your house even for the next year by the time you join the university. So I joined the university in August end. I signed my lease for an apartment in September because I was pretty late. I moved a few places to come to the apartment where I'm currently staying in. And post that, basically now in October, they have opened up applications for leases in fall 2023, which is in August 2023. So here things happen very early. So once you accept your offer, uh, join communities and groups of your university's current incoming students. Like you have WhatsApp groups for fall admits or the students joining this fall or the next spring. So something like that. And join those WhatsApp groups, join those Facebook groups, and there you can find all relevant information that you require on what you all need to do and about housing and all that stuff. And one more thing is the that when you are applying, I would be showing you my application for Purdue. You can have a glance through it, and then it will give you a brief idea of how things are done and how the application looks like. Basically, every university has an application fee. It is around $20 to $25, depends on the university. So you be very sure of what you want to do and then apply. Moving on to the selection process. So the selection process is quite simple, but it is extremely trivial. So initially you apply with all your documents to the university of your choice. You pay the application fee. Then there is a graduate committee of 4 to 5 professors your department would be having. So every university has every university has various departments, and if you have applied to a specific department, that department would have a committee, that is a graduate admission committee, so which is called a GAC. So it has a graduate admission committee which is generally comprised of 4 to 5 members, professors basically, and they review your applications thoroughly. Like they go through your SOP, your resume, your transcript, your application, and all the deliverables possible. So they basically do a thorough research about you. They check with which professor you match or your areas of interest match, and then they pair that professor with you as your academic advisor or your mentor uh, when you join the university. That is how the selection process occurs. And for the PhD, it is one step ahead. Once they have selected a few probable professors whom you can work with based on your area of interest, these professors basically conduct interviews with you in order to know about what you have worked on and what are all your interests. It is a it is like a job interview where you try to pitch in and sell yourself that I'm uh, I am a person that you should be looking for to work with your research group because I provide so and so skills, or I have so and so skills that would benefit the research that is going on, and my interest lie in so and so things. So basically, this interview is also a part of your PhD application. And once all this is done, you receive your offer letter if you are selected by the committee or if you excel through the interview. So this is the selection process in general. And I think that's it. Thank you. And so let me show you a few things like the deliverables, at least on what you need to basically show to your basic documents that you require. So here I have my resume. I hope you are all able to see my resume. So this is my resume. You can have a look through it. I have made this resume using Overleaf, which is a latex platform that allows you to put documents through in a beautiful format. So this is my resume. You can look through it. This is the resume that I had submitted to Purdue. I have a few papers that I have published during the COVID time, and my skills, certifications, languages, hobbies, and interests. So it is a just very short resume. It is just of 1.5 pages. I don't think you should exceed this. Even a 1 page resume would do good, but I had done a few internships that I had to put through. So my resume eventually exceeded that 1 page. Post that, you have your IELTS test report. So your IELTS test report looks something like this. So you have your listening, reading, writing, speaking scores, and then your overall band score. So my overall band score was 7.5. Then this is an LOR that your university basically gives you, or your professor basically provides you with. This is a LOR from a company, from an HR, from a company that you get. So then this is my statement of purpose. So generally keep it to 1.5 to 2 pages. Do not exceed 2 pages, because you are not expected. So as I said, that your first paragraph should be why and what field you want to work in. And then it comes all about your experience, your interest, your hobbies, your achievements, that comes into your SOP, followed by the last closing paragraph that tells you that why you want to get into the university and why is this university your prime choice of getting into something. Then comes, this is the application that usually looks like this. You have an application portal that once you submit, you get an application copy like this. So I had applied to Purdue West Lafayette campus for engineering technology, for a degree of master's in science, the thesis option. So there is also a non-thesis option that has a dedicated project. So you need to work on a project for that thing, and you need to submit the project. In thesis option, you need to basically write a thesis or a black book. You need to submit a black book for, and your project at the end of the master's degree. You have to basically defend your thesis. And there is also a professional master's, that is a 1 year course that you don't have to work on projects or something, but you generally get your master's fast track. If you are into that, please do apply. Then I had applied for defense engineering and technology, but this was specifically for people who are in the defense industry in the US, and they should be US citizens. So I could not get into this, but I had applied to Northwest for electrical and computer with specializations in nanotechnology and robotics. I'll show you that too. I had applied to, yeah, here you go. So microelectronics and nanotechnology, and my area, second sub area, was robotics. So it is a basic form. You can just go through and you can skim through what all is required. It is a very easy form that you can fill, but then your academic history is asked of. What is your GPA? What is your degree, college? Everything is asked of. Then they ask you about probable professors you want to work with or you want to get an assistantship with. So you can go to professor's profile, check out their research interests or their interest, and accordingly figure out all these things. Then they ask you for your certifications, list of publications, and all the other things. Like, and in the employment, don't forget to mention all your internships that you have done till date. And then they ask you your test scores, your references. Now your letter of recommendation or reference is basically your professors. So they generally send your professors emails asking them to submit the LOR. So be sure to keep talking to your professors when you're applying for foreign universities to get an LOR. And then this is just the rest of the form as it is. This is my transcript. So I think that is it. This is my SOP, diversity essay, my resume. So that is it. That is how the application is. And then this is my LinkedIn profile. I wouldn't say it is great, but I have few activities going on. You can list out your experiences, like the companies you have worked in as interns or you have worked as an employee. That is how it should be. Then second thing is, let's go back. Second thing is your education. Try structuring that too on your LinkedIn profile. Then your certifications and licenses, volunteering. So I had my own I had my NPO, which is a non-profit organization, non-registered. Me and my fellow friend Shlok, who I think was in the meeting a few minutes ago, we had established a NPO called Subhashish Initiative. So I had done quite a lot of volunteering work during COVID. And then your publications, your recommendations that people give you on your profile, your honors and rewards, don't forget to put any of your honors and awards that you have received till date onto your LinkedIn profile. The languages also play an important role. So mention all the languages that you know. Your test scores like IELTS or TOEFL or GRE, GMAT, any test scores, you can put it up here. So I think this is all for the webinar, and now let us move to the Q&A. I would like to invite one of my friend, Akshada Shinde, who is, I think, in the meeting currently. And I would request her to kindly unmute and answer a few questions that are from a person known as Vitthal Kale, who wants to do his master's, who is doing his master's and wants to do a PhD in a very specific domain. So I would request Akshada to please unmute herself and check if she could answer some of his questions. Okay.
Hi. Hi,
Hello. Hi,
everyone.
Akshada.
So my name is Akshada Shinde, and I joined this fall Purdue as a PhD student in health sciences, particularly in toxicology. And I did my master's back in India in toxicology itself from NIPER, Hyderabad. So, what's the question?
Okay, so we have a question from Vitthal Kale, who is currently a master student at NIPER Raebareli in Lucknow. So the first question he asked is, can I pursue my PhD in regulatory toxicology domain only, as I'm a master student doing my master's in the same domain?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So toxicology is particularly it's a small domain though, but you can pursue a PhD in toxicology domain, no doubt. In here, it's just an umbrella, and it's just an under an umbrella of health sciences, not an pharmaceuticals or something like that. Health sciences and life sciences. But yes, you can pursue a PhD in toxicology.
Okay, the second question I would skip because I think I have covered
Right.
that part. Because an interview is the main extra link apart from the masters that you require to get an admission to get into a PhD.
Yeah, but then
So,
for that thing, you need to contact a particular professor of your research interest and see if that professor actually has any vacancies into his lab or something like that, so that he is able to like accommodate you. Unless and until you get a reply from a professor, it doesn't actually make sense to apply for that university, or something like that, because it will give you a false hopes, I would say. It's not that easy to get into a PhD without a professor or advisor having a vacancy in his or her lab.
very true. So the next question he has is there any need for review or research paper publication or any job experience for getting into a seat in Purdue?
Okay, so it highly depends upon the professor, I would say. I do have myself a review paper, not a research one, but I have in 2 to 3 years of job experience, which I guess compensated that thing. So probably it depends upon the professor who you are looking for and which lab you are going to. So either of one is fine.
Yeah. The next question he has is, what are the other streams available for pharmacy field other than regulatory toxicology? And is the same domain available for PhD in Purdue?
Oh yes, Purdue has a college of pharmacy, and they do have pharmaceutical branches as well in there to pursue a PhD, which is actually an industry of pharmacy, which includes pharmacology, medicinal chemistry under the program of MCMP, I guess. and it's molecular pharmacology, medical chemistry, pharmacy program. And then the toxicology comes under the health sciences domain. So almost every pharmacy program or pharmacy domain is covered under it.
Okay. And then his next question is, what are the thrust areas in Purdue University for PhD in toxicology domain? So what he basically wants to ask is, what are the branches that you can research under toxicology domain?
Oh, I mean, like it depends upon your master's, like in which field you are like which, I mean, like which domain you are doing in your master's. So we have it again depends upon the professor's interest. Like my lab works on neurotoxicology, pulmonary cardiotoxicity. So there are like various toxicology domains wherein you can work on, and like you and the website mentions it all. So probably you can go through the website of School of Health Sciences and you'll get a bunch of information regarding the toxicology trust.
Yes. Thank you so much, Akshada, for answering
Yeah.
domain specific questions. Um,
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I would like to move on to the rest questions that other people have. Should I give the GRE exam or not? I would suggest look up on your university pages that you're applying to whether their requirements are specific. If they are requiring a GRE, do give a GRE. But if they are having it optional, then I would suggest not giving one. But it is better having one. I myself didn't give a GRE, so I should not be saying that. But do check your university for their requirements if they need a GRE, because during COVID times they had waived off the GRE thing. They had made it optional to give your GRE. So even if you give your GRE, it would be considered. Even if you have not given your GRE, it would not be considered. So it did not make much of a difference to your application if you had a GRE score or not. But after the COVID scenario, once now, since the world has opened up, a lot of colleges are imposing that you should give a GRE. You should have a GRE score. Like from what I know, my department also has made it mandatory that you have a GRE score now. Akshada's department, that is the Department of Health Sciences, also needs a GRE. So just check your university or your course requirement page on what they basically want. When would be the ideal time to apply for transcripts? So if you're a person like me who has just completed their bachelor's and wanting to do their master's in foreign, uh, you apply for a partial transcript, because universities accept your partial transcripts. Like till the semester you have completed, you can apply for your transcripts through your exam department or through your office department at your college or university, and they give you a partial transcript like up till semester 6 or semester 7. And post that, once you get into the university and once you have your semester 8 results out, then you can apply for a final transcript. And generally universities provide you with a 6 months window to submit your transcript. So post once your results for your last semester are out, you can immediately apply. Once you get your mark sheet, basically the semester 8 mark sheet, you can basically apply for your transcripts. And once you receive them, don't forget to submit them. That is the ideal time to apply for transcripts, and as well as getting, that is the procedure how you get your transcripts. Is there any ideal manner to ask our professors for LOR? I think I have mentioned that one is your mentor, project mentor, or your project guide, whom you should approach first, and you should explain to him which universities you are applying to, what are you trying to specialize in, and you should request him politely for an LOR, whether he could give you a letter of recommendation. I had asked a few of my professors the same way, and they had happily given me an LOR. So that is there. And that is the ideal manner. The first is your project guide. Second is a professor whom you have closely worked with or who knows you from head to toe. That is the second person you should ask for an LOR. Don't go out randomly and ask any person out for an LOR, because when universities do a background check, if they contact your letter of reference, like if they contact the professor and the professor doesn't know you physically, like he has just met you for giving an LOR, it would not help. because then the professor, it would be difficult for the professor to explain how good of a student you are. So I would suggest that you approach professors who know you from head to toe, or who know you better, or whom you have worked with, or who have taught you. They would be the better people to who can give you an LOR. And the third person is either from an industry, or you can get it from another professor. So scholarship opportunities, as I said, if you are trying to apply for fall, which is August semester, try applying by December 31st. If you are applying for spring semester, that starts from January, you try to apply by July end. So if you are able to apply 6 months beforehand of that semester, you can probably get university scholarships, but that are subjective. You have 60 to 70% of students getting those scholarships. So hopefully you would be the lucky one who could get into it. I did not get those scholarships. So I had to apply for scholarships away from, apart from the scholarship the university was offering. So you can apply for scholarships like Tata, or there are a few Sindhi groups that offer scholarships for students who pursue masters. There are a lot of other companies that offer you scholarships to pursue your masters in. And one more thing, if you are pursuing a job in any company and you want to do your masters very badly, I suggest you approach the company first and ask them if they could fund your education. And in return, you would work for them for a bond period of 1 or 2 years. That depends on company to company. Some companies would fund your entire master's education, and then would like to have you work for them for the next 2 years or maximum 4 years. But that is how it works, and the company sponsorship is very well preferred, because many of the top companies want their uh, employees to be graduates. So in the US, you call them graduates when you are, uh, if you are a PhD student, or if you're a master student and you do it. Uh, so they are called graduate students. So if you are very much interested in doing a master's in a specific domain, do check out, do ask your company, talk to your HR, or put up an email to your higher authorities at your company, and they would give you a better understanding of uh, how they can help you with your master's education. Apart from that, you have external scholarship opportunities, as well as then you can approach professors from the universities that you are applying to, who can give you a research assistantship or a teaching assistantship that basically covers your tuition as well as gives you a monthly stipend. So I did not get a research assistantship nor a teaching assistantship, since I was unaware that something of this sort also exists. But then this semester, when I joined my university and I started working with a professor, I had asked him if he could offer me one for my projects, and he gladly obliged. So now I have a graduate research assistantship for the next semester that would cover my tuition and that would also provide me a stipend. So you should do that. College recommendations, I wouldn't recommend any specific colleges. Again, college recommendations are based on your area of interest. So if you want me to recommend colleges from the US, I would suggest uh, the top three always stay the same: MIT, Stanford, Harvard. They all stay the same. Apart from that, you can apply to California Tech, Caltech. You can apply to Georgia Tech. You can apply to University of Michigan Ann Arbor. You can apply to uh, North Carolina State University, NCSU. You can apply to Purdue. You can apply to UCB, University of Colorado at Boulder. Uh, then you can apply to University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. These are some big universities. University of Michigan. So try applying to premium institutes and accordingly work accordingly if you're wanting to do your masters with a brand value, because there are a lot of Indian students who could not ace the JEE, so they missed out on getting into IIT, but still dream of doing their masters from a very uh, big college or a big university. So I think you should focus on the top colleges rather than looking down on some random colleges. But if your top colleges are not able to uh, basically give you or if they are not basically able to cover your areas of interest, and the smaller colleges are able to, you can surely join them, because uh, currently the smaller universities in foreign are also equally uh, they are equally running in series, or they are equally running in parallel with the top universities. So basically they are not bad as well. uh, how to build my profiles for a masters in Europe. So again, as I said, all those academic requirements, everything, you should have your internships uh, going well and all that stuff. I think Pradyumna has a question. Pradyumna, you can go ahead, ask a question.
Hey Varun, thank you so much for your time. I have quite a few questions there. That is, first one is regarding scholarship. So
Okay.
while applying for scholarship, what are the factors that are considered?
Okay. Now,
Is it going
scholarship
to
is a
be on
broader
your academics?
perspective.
Because from universities to universities, it does vary. Some
Yes.
universities they provide 30%, 50%. So what are the factors that they consider? Are there
Uh,
any?
I don't know the exact selection process for the scholarship process, but they again weigh your statement of purpose, because a lot of scholarship uh, ask you to basically write an essay on why you have to be specifically given the scholarship. They check your resume, so it is basically like a college application or a university application, but then the acceptance rate is very low. uh, while you are applying for a university, the acceptance rates are around 60 to 70%. But when you're applying for scholarship, consider them as 10 to 20%. Because if they are offering 200 scholarships and there are 1 lakh applicants, then it is a different ball game altogether. So uh, your resume or your statement of purpose has to be equally good, that can land you a scholarship. So getting a scholarship is difficult, but
Okay.
also not that difficult. If you have a very good profile, I think that would help you in getting your scholarship.
Yeah, and one more last question. That is,
Yeah, sure.
suppose if I'm starting from scratch to, preparing for the tests like GREs and
Okay.
IELTS. So what would be the minimum time or maximum time you could say required to, just prepare for all those tests? As I would be firstly pursuing completing my job, which is of two
Okay.
years, and after that I would be thinking of applying for masters. So
Okay. Now,
what do you think is the minimum?
as I said, it would be great if you could talk to your company. Uh, just let them know beforehand that I wish to do my master's in so and so, and like if you want to do it in the same domain as you are doing your job, then you can surely approach your company. They generally, all the major companies fund their employees for their masters, uh, and that is one
Okay.
thing you should consider, because uh, it is it is one perk that a lot of employees miss out on. So you should first try that. And the second thing, as you asked, you should give yourself a 6 months to a 1 year window to prepare for these exams. I think 6 months is good enough time. For IELTS, I would suggest 1 or 2 weeks before the exam is more than sufficient. If you are good at your English, like you can write, you can basically write an essay on any given topic. You can, if you are able to put through your thoughts very clearly, I don't think you need some preparation time for your IELTS. But for your GRE, I think you can give around 3 to 4 months. That is more than enough time. I think you should spend on it, because since you're working at a company, I don't think you should be spending much of your time giving your GRE, because finally it is just one step.
Okay.
But
Thank you.
you can try doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for answering my questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So the next question is, while pursuing masters in a foreign university, who is at advantage, a fresher or an experienced student? So it depends again. I think this question was asked by Madhurima Tamankar from Vesit. So I would suggest, it depends on your perspective. If you are an experienced student means you have done a job and come to do your masters. it is difficult for you to get adjusted or get shift back to the study life or the student life, because now you have been working with a company, you are adjusted to doing a particular job at your company, so you are not into the zone of studying. So it becomes difficult for experienced students to get into the student mode again. There are a lot of students who excel also in this field, but since I'm a fresher, I don't think I am at any disadvantage with respect to experienced students. I think they have an edge over me anyway, because they have worked in a company, they have some amount of experience. So it would surely add up to their resume when they're applying for jobs. But I think both are on the same level, maybe a 60-40 or a 55-45, not a much of a difference. Both are on the same level. How to get a good college? Again, how to select a good college? It again depends on your area of interest. Uh, Check out university rankings. I wouldn't suggest that you check university rankings, but have it as your secondary parameter. Your primary focus should be the universities that offer courses according to your area of interest, your motivation. And then you check out the rankings, then you sort out. And then it again depends on your final goal, that is whether research or job or startup. So it is all like that, and that is how things work. Then what is the procedure of getting? I have explained this pretty much in the entire seminar, webinar. And how to do a master's in Japan? Again, I think the application procedure everywhere is the same. Check out for universities that offer courses of your liking. uh, I think you need to check out uh, whether they have a requirement for Japanese language. So start learning some amount of Japanese if you're moving to a country like Japan or China or Russia or Germany. You need to know German if you want to survive in Germany. We have Suyok Sawant here, who is in Germany, and it is difficult because a lot of German people don't understand English. So you need to be well versed with German. At least you should know basic German, so that you are able to communicate with people. And don't feel afraid if you're coming to foreign. If you in any time join a foreign university, don't be afraid, because majority of population in foreign universities are Indians. So you will feel as if you are at home. So there is nothing too much to worry about when you are doing your masters. You will have something like a family here. Only thing is, here you are lonely because you don't have your family around, but you have your friends around. But it is very lonely because you don't have neighbors interacting with you, because here families are a bit conservative. They live in themselves. They do not uh, like to mingle out or check out what their neighbors are doing. Like in India, you blindly go to your neighboring house and ask them for anything you need, in whenever you need anything. So you have a good a relationship between you and your neighbors. But here it is a bit broken. So one thing I can say is, you can come here, enjoy your life. And I have observed that a lot of students take a lot of stress during their first semesters on regarding their assignments, their homeworks, and all that stuff. But I feel that that should be the secondary part. Your primary focus should be your understanding of concepts, and second thing, enjoying your life. Don't miss out the fun just for the sake of your assignments, because generally colleges in the US work from Monday to Friday, and you have holidays on Saturday and Sunday. So even people prefer that they do all of their work from Monday to Friday, even their assignments, homeworks, or whatever exams they have, and they enjoy the rest 2 days or the rest weekend. So that is how the philosophy works here in the US. So I think you should try that out. And that is it. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining me for this seminar. uh, and I hope that I would have answered much of your questions, and that is it. So if you have any questions, you can reach out to me via email or via WhatsApp or via Instagram. And this video would be on YouTube. So whenever you find time and if you have missed out on a few things, you can go check the video out on YouTube. So till then, good night at India, and for me it is morning. So